I disappeared from YouTube for 6 months. Hi, my name is Veronica, but I'm also known as Vespertiliu. I am a comic books author and a tarot and oracle deck creator from Italy. And in the past 6 months, a lot has happened. I finished my tarot deck, got involved in 2 new book projects, created an oracle deck, got called and hired as a teacher in a comic arts school, went from 9k to 45k on Instagram and reached 8k on TikTok. So, what happened? To explain how I got to where I am now, I need to bring you all back to 2021. And while I tell you this story, I invite you to notice if any bell rings. After that, I will tell you exactly what I did to get to where I am now. So, 2021. In 2021, my second graphic novel, Il Grosso, the big one, Mary, the big one, my second graphic novel, written by Daniele Dacco and published by a big publisher, which is Panini Comics, just got out. I was feeling like my career was going to take flight any minute. So what I did is I started to push myself, let's say. I started working very, very hard. I started working on a webcomic, Undead, that I used to publish on my old Instagram profile, which was Veronica Cartoon, And I started working on my Twitch profile, where I would stream like 7 days a week. Then I would work on my old YouTube channel, would try my best to publish at least once a week. I was trying to be the healthiest version of myself. I would go skating. I would try to eat healthy. I was trying to be that productive girl. It went pretty good for like a month and a half. And then I started feeling very weird. And I started feeling very tired and I started feeling very sad. I started realizing that to me, all that work wasn't working because I wasn't growing at all. To be exact, or to be honest, let's say, I was growing indeed because on my Instagram page, thanks to my webcomic, I reached 10k, but I wasn't earning any money, not from YouTube where I wouldn't get monetized, or on Twitch I wasn't getting much subscriptions. They weren't enough and Twitch would not pay me. And so I started feeling like, why this isn't working? Why am I doing the best I can and I'm being the best version of myself and this is not working? I'm not gaining much followers, I'm not gaining subscribers, I'm not earning any money. And so I then discovered from my therapist, because yes, I went to therapy, that I went from a manic episode to a depressive episode. So, yep. And step 0, let's say, is a step that I would highly recommend, but I understand that many people don't feel yet like going to the therapist is a normal thing, like going to the doctor. As I think that's pretty bad, I understand that because it's not easy, especially if you don't have a very supportive family and friends around you. On the other hand, for the reason that sometimes you don't have a family or friends that support you, or would like make fun of you because you go to the therapist, or because there are economic matters, sometimes you can't actually go to the therapist. It's not just that you want to go to the therapist. But if you have the possibility, you feel like you need to do that, I highly recommend it because it helped me so much in so many ways. I was like the worst possible version of myself. I hope that was the worst possible version of myself, and I would be horrible to myself and to my loved ones. It was just so bad. And one of the most important things my therapist did to me was actually make me understand that I was indeed an artist. At that point, I already published a graphic novel, worked on a couple comic books, and I had just published my second graphic novel with a big publisher, and yet I wasn't feeling like I was worthy of the word artist. And then one time, my therapist made me read out loud the definition of artist from the dictionary? Okay. None of that was about like being famous or getting money. It was just about making art. And that made me understand that I was indeed an artist, even though I wasn't very popular or I wasn't getting much money. I was indeed an artist. And that was the first step that got me back into myself, basically. So what I did at this point was getting back at traditional drawing and traditional arts, because I was very into digital drawing. I worked mostly digitally. First thing I did was getting back to what I loved the most, so drawing pencil and paper. I did that and I started feeling better. I started loving again what I used to do. The one thing that made everything change for real was at the beginning of 2022, I created Vespertiliu. She's born as my art sauna, and the reason why I created a new art sauna is because it was something I used to do when I was in high school, and I loved drawing myself like a character and put me into stories or illustrations, and it's something I stopped doing because people around me started saying it was unprofessional or childish, and I actually just really enjoyed doing that. If I have to become again myself and be authentic to myself, I need to get back at what I love to do, you know? And everything started changing because she got so much love. And all of this, by the way, didn't happen on my old profile, which was Veronica, the one that got 10k. It was on my private profile that I used just for pictures of myself or just to tag family and friends. And people started loving and appreciating my art and my character on that profile. I slowly but very confidently abandoned my old profile, even though it had a lot of more followers. I started being myself on this other profile, which I called Vespertiliu. After creating Vespertiliu, that's what happened basically. I first started posting about her both on my new Instagram, which was Vespertiliu, and on my TikTok. I started reaching and building an audience that was really interested in her and in my art. I started creating a whole bunch of other characters that would revolve around her. So there's Mietitore, which is basically a Grim Reaper, and is based on my boyfriend, let's say art sauna, cartoon sauna. Like Vespertiliu, he became a whole new original character. And then Vespertiliu came, which is Vespertiliu twin brother. And I don't have twin brothers. I have a little sister, so that was one of the first things I did to separate Vespertiliu from me, basically. And I love Vespertiliu also. And then I created Macabre, which is the co-star of the tarot deck that is coming out. I've brought back a character that I drew when I got back to traditional art, which was the Ghost Lady, and she is also now part of the Vespertiliu universe. And one of the latest character I created is called Gorgona or Gorgo, and is a Gorgon, I think it's in English, but it's like one of Medusa's sisters, basically. Let's say her, Vespertiliu, and Macabre are like a little coven, so they're all best friends and sisters. All this character came to life, and they came to life while I was doing the draw every day till I reach 100k challenge, which, by the way, I got like to, I don't remember the exact number, but I got to 240 days basically. Then I stopped. I always knew, if you watch my old videos, I always knew it was a very hard challenge, and I never thought I could reach 100. I mean, I could have done it, but that would have been so long. I knew it from the start. So my initial goal was to get to 100 days of drawing every day, which I did. And then I surpassed 6 months of drawing every day. Then I took a little break in August, and then I had to stop because I started getting all those new jobs about books. And also I got called from the school, which was totally crazy. I started working on myself and on the things I like and putting myself out there, and people started noticing me. I had to stop the challenge. More than 200 reels. I'm talking about Instagram later. I had a huge growth on Instagram. Within 3 months, I went from 11K to 45. That was crazy. All those crazy things happened. And it's just another step on this artistic journey of mine that is a lifelong journey. As I said, I'm in a whole new other great place from where I was in 2021. So most of it happened in the last 6 months, basically, and was the result of those 2 years of rebirth. But most of the results that started coming my way happened in these 6 months, basically. So what I learned from this experience, I'm going to tell you exactly what I learned in those 2 years. Number 1, building an audience is different from growing an audience. Working to build an audience is different from working to grow an audience. I'm looking at my notes right now and I'm blind AF, so I might squeeze my eyes a little bit, but I didn't want to wear glasses. I wanted to look pretty. Growing an audience is about luck and strategy. And that's what I learned about that. So if your only goal is to grow an audience, you have to work on your strategy. You have to have a bit of luck. Let's say that. And I say this because the moment I started growing an audience, in my opinion, it was luck. You have to understand that it won't come necessarily to you because it's a matter of luck. And it's something that it's not necessarily related to being authentic, in my opinion. It's not much about doing what you like, but doing what works to reach your goal, let's say. While building an audience, which is the one thing that I think I became really good at, is a matter of consistency and authenticity. About being authentic, you start working on what you like and what you want to do, and then you share that with your community, with your audience. So you don't create things with the purpose of getting attention or getting new followers. You create what you're passionate about, and you create what you like, and you share it with people that will eventually be the ones who share the same interests with you. Because if you put out there what are the things that you really like, then you're going to attract people who are genuinely interested in who you are and what you like to do. Being the kind of person I am, that is game-changing and life-changing, because when in 2021 I was working to grow an audience and to do things that people would like rather than create things that I would like, that was something that got me into a depressive episode. So that is something that I personally cannot stand. So switching to creating what I like to create and being who I am and attracting the kind of people that like the same things as me, as I said, game-changing. About the consistency, let's just say you want to update your community like you would update your best friends. I have like 3 best friends and my sister, which is above that. Sorry, guys. I pretty constantly update them. Apart from all personal matters, I would say, hey, I have this idea for this project. Hey, look what I did. Hey, this is the first sketch for a drawing I'm going to create. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And of course, they're my best friends and they're all very supportive and they're all very interested in what I do. And so the key to consistency is to treat your audience like you would treat your best friend. I'm not talking about personal matters. Of course, you can do that. I personally don't like to do it much, but treat your audience, treat your community like you would treat a friend, a best friend. So give them updates, give them sketches. I tend to draw a line where I don't talk about a project unless it's already on its way. I'll discuss ideas at that early stage just with a very few trusted people. When the project is already on its way, or when there's no harm in showing the first sketches of an illustration, let's say, things like that, I share them. I make people look at them, and I genuinely am very proud of showing those steps with my community, because I know they care about me and they care about the same stuff and they like the same things as I do. You're happy to share things, they will be happy to acknowledge them. Another thing that really helps with consistency is getting in the mindset that there are no bad artworks. We are our most ferocious haters. There will be haters, there will be people who just don't like what you do, but you can share things even though you think they are not perfect, because most of the time people will love them and think they are perfect even though you don't. What is bad to you isn't necessarily bad to others. But it has happened a lot of times that I would post something even though I wasn't very confident about it, and that would be one of my most successful posts. Get over that and post your art and share what you do, because no one is perfect, and being an artist, it means you are an eternal student and means you are eternally improving. Another very important thing I learned from these past 2 years is it takes time, it takes patience, it takes faith, and it takes work. Even though now it seems like it went like this quickly, it was 2 years from when I created Vespertiliu to where I am now. It's not something that comes from day to night. It's not something that comes in a week or a month. It's important to acknowledge that it's a journey and it's not necessarily an easy, quick one. Having faith and being delusional, I mean, it's not really be delusional. Understand your value. Understand what's your worth. That you're worthy. That's what I'm saying. When I say delusional and to have faith, you have less than 1,000 followers, that doesn't define your worth. What you do, what are your skills, who are you as a person, define your worth. When you understand your value, you will start acting more confidently, let's say. Trust me. I'll make an example, okay? I know that what's my worth and what's my value. I know I can create a tarot deck. I know I have the skills and the knowledge, because I studied, to create a tarot deck. And so I think in the next future, I will be able to have my own tarot deck created. That won't jump from the sky. So what you do? You start working on your tarot deck. You start drawing every single card, and eventually you prepare a proposal and you submit it to a publisher, and then see what happens. Even though the publisher can say no, that doesn't mean you haven't created your tarot deck, and that doesn't mean you won't have your tarot deck in the next possible future. You manifested your own tarot deck, you created that tarot deck, work for it. So that's it basically. And those are the things I learned from this experience. I can go more in depth, but I think this is already a pretty long video. Just to sum it up, step 0, if you have the possibility, I highly recommend go to therapy. Get back at what you love to do, and then you can start working on building an audience, and you will eventually even grow with a little bit of luck, but you will grow from your audience that loves you for your most authentic you. So be authentic, update your community like they're your best friends, draw a line, don't be too personal, and choose wisely what to share. Understand it takes time, it takes faith, work for it. So that was my comeback video. This time I'm going to do the best I can to really help you with your artistic journey. I hope this video helps you realize the next best chapter is right in front of you. You just have to start walking towards it, basically. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. If you have any suggestions for my next videos, please feel free to leave comments below, because I really want to do my best to share my knowledge and to help you on your artistic journey. So that's it. Bye.